we're going to look at how you convert fractions to decimals. Now, sometimes it's really easy because if you have 3/10, then you know that that's going to be 3/10. That's the tenths place, right? So that's super easy. Or if you have, let's see, 18/100, you know that you have no holes and it's 18/100 because that's the tenths and that's the hundredths. And if you have 3 4/10, you would know that you have 3 holes and you have 4/10, that's the tenths place. Or if you had 7 3/100, you would know that that's 7 holes. We have no tenths, so you're going to put a 0 there. And you have 3/100, that's the hundredths place, that's the tenths place. That's where the 3 needs to be for the 3/100, right? So those are pretty straightforward. But then it gets a little bit more complicated if your fraction isn't out of tenths and hundredths, it's out of something else, right? So you're going to have to make it out of tenths or hundredths. So the first question you ask yourself in this case is, would it be easier for me to make it out of tenths or hundredths? Well, we know that 4 won't go into 10, so that's not going to work. But 4 does go into 100, so we're going to start with 100. So how many times does 4 go into 100? Well, it goes 25 times. Just think of quarters. There are 4 quarters in $1 in 100 cents. So what we do to the bottom, we do to the top. And if you can't do 3 times 25 in your head, you can do 25 times 3 on the side. 3 5s are 15, 3 2s are 6, plus 1 is 7. It's going to be 75 hundredths, and we have 0 holes and 75 hundredths. This is the tenths, this is the hundredths, so we should make sure that that's 75 hundredths. I often see kiddos do this. Well, there's no tenths because it's out of 100, so I'm going to put 0 there. And then I'm going to put the 75, but no, that doesn't work because when you have 3 numbers after the decimal, that's thousandths. When you have 2 numbers after the decimal, then that's hundredths, so that's not going to work. So be careful with that. Okay, 4/5. Ask yourself, is it easier to make it out of tenths or hundredths? I can only do tenths or hundredths with decimals. Well, in this case, it's actually easier to do it out of tenths. You can do it out of 100, but not necessary. How do you go from 5 to 10? Times 2. So what you do to the bottom, you do to the top. 4 times 2 is 8. So 4/5 is the same as 8/10. I have 0 holes. And I'm just going to write this as a decimal. Well, it's the tenths, so it's got to be in the tenths place. So that's going to be 0.8. 8/10. Don't get too confused by this one. This is an improper fraction, but you can still do the same thing, right? So you're going to say, well, is it easier to make it out of tens or 100? You could do either. I prefer to do it out of tens. So it's going to be the same as this one. I'm going to do times 2. And then I'm going to do 12 times 2. I know my 12 times table. So 12 times 2 is 24. And now I have this improper fraction. I'm going to convert it to a mixed number because we never leave it as an improper fraction. How many times does 10 go into 24? Twice, because 2 times 10 is 20. I have 4 left over. So that's 2 4/10, and I'm going to write that as a decimal. 2 holes, that goes in front of the decimal. And then it's in the tenths place, I'm going to have a 4. So it's 2.4. So 12/5 is 2.4 as a decimal. Okay, 6 1/2. Well, let's forget about the 6 for now. We're really only interested in the half because that's the fraction that I'm going to have to convert to a decimal. So I can shelf my 6 for now. So let's look at a half. Well, what could I make a half out of? Either 10 or 100. So once again, I think 10 is probably easier. How do I go from 2 to 10? Well, 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. So 1/2 is the same as 5/10, and now I'm happy because it's in tenths. I can convert that to a decimal. So let's not forget the 6. So I have 6 wholes and 5/10. So now I'm going to put my 5 in the tenths place right there. So 6.5 is the same as 6.5. And just a little trick, if you ever see a fraction that is a half, like 4/8 or 6/12 or 5/10, or 7/14, then you know that it's going to always be 0.5 as a decimal. All right, that's it for now.